The problem with this, of what men have found, is that if your partners get to know you are remotely controlled, they will be on you at every minute. So those are the two.
Demand becomes higher.
Demand becomes very high.
Let the man talk. We know 4th of February, it's Cancer Awareness Day, if I'm not wrong. And we are having this conversation because there's something we are planning. And he talked about Friends of Hospice. I think you're the president of Rotary, Friends of Hospice, if I'm not wrong. Kindly paint a picture what we are planning to do, the awareness, and why is it so much important, especially for the man to choose a finger.
Yes.
I like that.
That's correct.
I like that.
That is actually very true. Yeah, it's actually very true. I want to pick it up from where Mheshimiwa has left and say that, on matters hospice, on matters palliative care, there's a conversation which we need to pick up as Africans. And one thing I've realized in the African culture, especially in matters primary health, Africans fear to talk about death. And the reason why they fear to talk about death is they have the notion that to speak about death is to invite it. And so that's the notion which needs to change.
It's true.
If that one changes, then health-seeking behaviors now change drastically. And that's why we are partnering with the Embu Hospice. And on 4th, which is the World Cancer Day, we'll be having a very good medical camp. Of course, we will start with cycling a day before, and then on that day, we will have a 2 medical camp. We have a lot of partners who are coming in. Of course, the boy child has to be protected. I think all over this country, we see people doing medical camps, and who is the focus?
The woman.
Girl child.
Girl child. And I think now the focus needs to change, and we also need to focus on what can we do to the boy child? Can we reduce the stigmatization? I think men have the fear of going to hospital because of the masculinity. What will people say about me? I'm the head of the family. Suppose I go right now, who will be left with the family? I think that's the discussion which we need to pick up and tell men it is okay not to be okay. It's okay to go to hospital and say, I have a lower urinary tract infection. It is normal. The way women find it common to go to hospital and say, I have an infection, and they're treated. I have never seen a man come and tell me, hey,
Nikona STI.
So I think that's a discussion which men need to find it very open and to discuss about it, to be open about it. I have worked for the last 10 years, and I can tell you, I've only met one person who has come to me and told me, hey, actually 2, one in Embu, one in Kisi, to tell me, hey, I think I have an erectile dysfunction. The rest will come with, I have headache, I have abdominal pain, and then later I'll come,
siwezi kusimamisha.
Correlated. I think that is a conversation which men need to pick up. And as Mheshimiwa has said, it's actually to prevent it is better than to cure it. Let me put it this way. How cancer comes into play? It's very simple. Cancer is just when cells try and to multiply at a rate faster than the way it's controlled. The body is meant to control it. The body has a time bomb. It controls when a cell dies, or when a cell does not continue to replicate. But now when their cells continue replicating to a level which cannot be controlled, we term that one as cancer. It can happen at any stage. And now what causes it is divided into 2. We have modifiable factors and we have non-modifiable factors. Modifiable factors is like what you eat, what you exercise, things which you can eat in your control. Non-modifiable is where you are born, you see, your age, things which you cannot really control. And that's why Mheshimiwa is telling us that if you know that you can get a checkup, go for it. There's no need of waiting. So on 4th, we're expecting a lot of men, we're expecting a lot of children, we're expecting a lot of women. Come, get checked, and you'll be assisted.
I want to take up something on what he just said. One of the things he's talked about is, we've moved away from our traditional foods, the ugalis, the domas, the ngwashes, and we've gone into Western world, where we're even having
Hamburgers.
charred foods, meats, and so on.
Lasagna, hamburgers.
We want to sound pompous.
Yeah.
But I
No
want to
medium
appeal.
rares.
I want to face that camera and appeal to my men in this world. Men folks. I know there are very many men who have erectile dysfunction. They are not able to have an erection for various reasons. Like if you're too diabetic, the chances of you rising to the occasion are very low if it is serious diabetes. We have a cure for it. I have had many men come to me quietly, whisper to me, Norman, I want to see you. I cannot perform at home. What do you mean you can't perform at home? Oh yes, I can have sex with my wife. And they go on and say, please don't tell anybody. This must be very quiet. That's one. The other one I have had is people telling me, look, we can't get children and I think I am the problem. My wife has been checked, I haven't been checked. So I've acted on those two categories of people. I'm happy to report many of them have gone and have had babies. Let me talk about what bothers many men, because when you are young, you love sex. When you get to my age, then sex becomes...
Doesn't love you.
It doesn't love you. It runs away from you. There are two types that you can rectify a dysfunctional erection. One, you can have a battery fitted in your scrotum so that
Is this for real, doctor?
yeah.
You know, I had it with him, man. I was like, wait a minute, man. This
You have it implanted in the scrotum. And I'll tell you why you have it put in the scrotum. For those who do not want to be known by their sexual partners that they have a dysfunction, you just go to bed, you put it on, he rises to the occasion, you are through, you rise down.
Remote control.
Now, that's one. By just pressing it on and off from the scrotum.
Baba.
The next one.
I'm going to research more.
Oh, yes, I can take you to hospital. Those ones who you come across to me. No, not him.
Even if I'm okay, it looks like
He looks very
advantage.
The other one, and many men don't like it, the ones that have taken for this treatment, is you have it in form of a remote. So that you carry a remote and you just go on, he rises, off, he goes to sleep.
What?
Now, the problem with this of what men have found is that if your partners get to know you are remotely controlled, they will be on you
Is she
at
there?
every minute. So those are the two.
Demand becomes higher.
Demand becomes very high. For remote control,
Gilbert will like that.
it goes for remote control, it goes for 1.2 million in India. For the one in the scrotum, manual, that goes for 800,000. In case you have any issues, even here in Nembu, I know people have approached me. Please come back to me, and I'll take you so your manhood can come back again.
That's a point. Say hallelujah.
That's very interesting. But before you digress, you know, we are talking about men and medical. When I started working at the hospice, I would talk to many men and tell them, encourage them, you need to go out for checkup and all this. And I found out that most men actually, it's not a macho thing that I don't want to go and get the finger thing. It's more of financial and mental. Because we find unakuta mwanaume unamwambia we mazee nenda uchekiwe, sema sasa ni mimi nitaenda kuangaliwa ama ni watoto, so they also have financial restraints that they say, look, anajikaza, okay, they give the way a parent will say, we don't have supper today, let's give it to the children. Okay, sisi wacha tutajikaza nja. They do it, but vis-a-vis health-wise. So wacha angalia watoto, mimi nitajikaza. So by the time they come to realize these things are happening, they are into stages.
I want you to tell me the following, Mwafrica. 2 days ago, a very highly educated man called me from Nairobi.
Yes. I was with you
He told me 2 years ago, my PSA was detected at 49%. And I said, where have you been? All this time, you know what the highest level should be. And he went on and he told me. So this morning, I received my PSA report. It's at 114. So I then advised him accordingly on what he should do. And let me now tell you what he told me. My daughter lives in the US. I am going to go there. And I asked him, do you have a visa for the US, which takes a long time because you cannot afford to wait? He said, look, I have a 5-year visa. I will go. His 2 daughters work there. They are wealthy. He is wealthy. Now, the other thing he told me before he started talking to me, he asked me, do you have anybody around you? So I wondered, what is it? Does he want to talk to me about politics? And then he said, look, I have a problem. I have a prostatitis issue. I said, but Bill, there's nothing wrong with it. You should be able to speak it loudly, even in front of your friends, so that this stigma runs out of you. Let me bring it to another angle. When my mother was detected she was going to die, within that very short period of 2 to 3 weeks, I objected to her death because there was another spirit in heaven that was telling me, Daktari, my mother was going to survive.
Denial.
And everybody else was very low because their mother now is coming to die. My father was not called in. He was 88. And therefore he could not stand to hear this from the doctors. My mother's oncologist and the medical doctors that were looking after my mother. And I had lots of arguments with them how my mother was not going to die. And they said, look, you have not brought up any medical solution that will make your mother survive. And I said them, there are 2 things. One, my belief and faith from that man that hears me. He has spoken to me, my mother is not going to die. And I said, I am going to remove my mother from Nairobi Hospital and I'm going to take him for prayers. And they said, no. I said, you guys must be joking. This is my mother. It's not your mother. My brother, late Joe, told them, look, this guy, when he says he's going to take his mother, believe you me, he's going to take his mother. Outside there, he's got 25 policemen guarding him. Okay? He will mobilize them. He will remove this woman from here. So anyway, they allowed me to take my mother. I went along with my 2 sisters. We went to a man who at that time, I think, used to speak directly to God. Or God sent me to a person who had some powers through them to heal my mother. I took them to a man called Pastor Nganga. Pastor Nganga of Neno. Commander. General mwenyewe. And I took my mother to Commander. He prayed with my mother. And my mother told me, I am healed. We took my mother back to the hospital. A week later, the oncologist and the doctors, Dr. Gikonyo and the team, checked my mother. They called the doctors together and said, come and look at Norman's miracles.
Wow.
Absolutely. My mother came back home to Embu. My mother came back to Embu. For a whole year, she went back to her pickup. She went back to her shamba. Let me say what I have already said.
Given 2 weeks for her
to die. And it had metastasized to all parts of the body. And I believe 2 things God did to my mother. One, she was given a chance to come and make amends with those that she may have had issues with. Okay? And to prepare her family that she was going to go. For all that period, she was given that opportunity. So if you went to Commander's office, any time, my photograph was on his desk. If we wanted to see the president then, I took him to Kibaki and Madame Lucy any moment to go and say so. and very many prominent people. When they heard the story of my mother, I will not give their names. I took them to Commander. The place where people worship in Ineno, along Haile Selassie Avenue, I'm the one that did that place. And I went there many a times. Whatever happened to my friend thereafter, I have no idea. But Nyaga, you saved my mother. You gave me my mother through eternal power for another 1 year.
I think just to say something about that, let me say, I think on matters concerning prostate cancer and what it has done to men, I want to bring an analogy or maybe a joke. We always have Alcohol Anonymous. Why can't we have Prostate Anonymous, Prostate Cancer Anonymous, where men just come and talk?
Yes.
And we know that when you come there, you will talk, no judging, because what is making us afraid to talk is what will people think.
That's true.
Like the way Mweshimiwa said, I'm the Minister of Health. What will people think when they hear that I have prostate cancer? You see, I think we need to have that Prostate Cancer Anonymous, where people can talk about it freely. Yes. And I think you are better placed to do such approach.
You know one thing.
And having been a victim of it, I would support what you just said.
But Vince, but one thing I've noticed, people are becoming more bolder and informed.
Yes.
So like now, I'm in a group where we have one is actually a Rotary-based group where they have prostate cancer men, and there's also a group led by there's this gentleman George Lona Irungu's former husband. No, that was Lupus. There's a guy called George. He leads it, and he has a group of men with prostrates. But still, having said that, is the message I think we are trying to tell people and men is that, look, it's a do or die thing. Either wende ama ukufe. Now, you know the other thing, by the way, I've not informed you, I lost my wife to cancer, and that's why I came into this journey. And I call myself, I call myself a cancer activist. I like to call myself that. One of the things that I have noticed with us is something called denial. Okay? And denial starts first the patient, because unajua, once the patient goes to a doctor and the doctor tells them you might be having cancer, first and foremost you go into denial and you tell that doctor unachukia huyo daktari, because unaona huyu daktari hakuna kitu ananiambia, hata unaweza mtukana hapo. Then from there, because of your denial, you have the fear of now going again to any other doctor for confirmation.
It's actually called the fear of diagnosis.
Okay? You now have the fear of, sasa wewe utashinda hivyo, unaogopa. And it's very mental straining, because after that, if you don't go for hospital for that checkup for confirmation, hata ukipata headache kidogo, I'm telling you, unafikia sasa cancer hii nini. So we need to face these things, because I have come into a situation where I look at you, I would look at you as a friend of mine, and you're going through the same process. Let's say a palliative care. Yeah. I will tell you clearly, stop taking your mother, your dad for more chemotherapy. Inawamaliza. Do this, tafadhali. They need palliative care. You know, cancer has a strange habit. Unaenda chemotherapy, unakuja juu. Unakuta mtu yuko very jovial. A situation we call remission. Okay? It's a temporary remission. Cancer, you never heal cancer. Cancer never gets healed. You go into a remission. When you're in that situation, you're getting well, then it comes back very vigorously.
You are worrying me.
No, you shouldn't be worried.
My PSA level, my PSA level is at 0.0031. 14 years. So don't tell me it's into remission. I'm not healed.
Mheshimiwa, no, sorry. Maybe I should correct, because you see, the stages.
Cancer is curable.
The stages of cancer.
When it is detected
detected, stage 1, it has 0 staging. stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Ikianza kufika stage 3, stage 4. I don't want to go into those because hizo ni za daktari, but I'm just explaining the people how I deal with these people. Ikianza kufika stage 4, kuna pahali inafika. Unaona tafadhali, because angalia huyu mtu. Chemo, we've just been told by Mheshimiwa here, it's about 138,000. And it's a process of it that you've gone through. You've gone through this, unakuta mtu sasa, ameambiwa na daktari, we need palliative care. Okay? Hii hatuwezi mpatia, we cannot keep on injecting them that dawa. Even the body haitakubali. But ataenda kuuza shamba, aendelee kumpatia chemo.
And there are some that have chemo and radiation at the same time.
But now, what are we saying? We need to be able to face each other. If I'm told, a doctor tells me, I have 6 months to live, okay? He's just giving me, there are people who live more.
Yeah.
But he's just telling me, by the way I'm seeing this thing, you probably just have 6 months to live. So prepare yourself. We need to have those discussions.
Exactly.
Okay? We need to have those. We need to be brave enough. We will all die at one time.
At one time, yeah.
And therefore, we cannot keep on hiding when you're told death might come your way. I don't see why you should not prepare yourself. And yet you can walk out of here and get hit by a car, without warning.
Mwafrica, I have just got a point from what you've said. And my point is this: if you are raising up our children to live healthy and good lives, that means they'll grow old.
It's inevitable.
They'll have to end up into.
Yes, it's inevitable.
We need to talk about it.
If you go to my office, I have a little card. It says, mind how you treat your children. You may need them in your old age. Or take you to a hospice. Old people's home.
Gentlemen, I want to maybe take another direction. We were speaking about men and their health status. This is because on what Terry mentioned on 4th, we'll be having a medical camp. The precursor to the medical camp is a walk. It's not a walk, it's a
ride, a cycling.
Sasa hiyo inaitwaje? A ride. No. One point, gentlemen.
A cyclothon. Cyclothon.
Gilbert, he is known as the mountaineer. Will be doing a circuit around the counties that zungukas the mulima. Gilbert ataguza mulima. He's going to cycle a great awareness. Maybe these conversations that we are having, so that more people can get enlightened. Because today I feel like nimekuwa university. 4 years within 30 minutes. So please, everyone who is watching, make a point of coming, attending the camp. I believe you gentlemen, you will be there. People can get these nuggets of wisdom.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. My name is Gilbert Njeru, and this year one of the first challenge I want to do is on the 4th of February. We all know 4th of February is always the World Cancer Day. We've decided to create an awareness about cancer, and we'll be cycling all the 6 counties around Mount Kenya in 2 days. That is starting from Meru, Laikipia County, Nyeri County, Nyaga County, Embu County, and Tharaka Nithi County. And on the 4th, we will be running a medical camp at Embu Level 5 for 4 days. Kindly support.
Let the man